I'd almost forgotten what Chef can do with a steak.
Welcome to Sci-Fi Steak. My opinion on this episode has changed a lot over time. I liked it a lot less when I was younger than I do now. Back then I downright hated it. Now I'm tolerating it. So let's start. What happens in this episode?
Winter is coming.
So we need to defeat the White Walker. When the episode begins, we are still at the end of the long summer. A bunch of people want to build a colony here, and the Enterprise serves as moving van. Riker does his part by standing around doing nothing. No, not entirely nothing. He is heavily flirting with a woman who makes it absolutely clear to him right away that they do not fit together whatsoever. Naturally, they will go on a date later. Data and Dr. Crusher join when a strange sound announces that winter is here. After Space: The Final Frontier, we see that winter is definitely right on top of us. All the summer children are running. The planet gets shaved. An old man falls when they all run for the caves, and the woman Riker was flirting with runs back to help him. They both get eaten. Riker, being born in the long summer, is horrified. But he will handle this like the evolved human being he is, accepting that death is a natural part of life. Meanwhile, on the moving van, the crew notices that something is wrong with the colony, so they hurry over. The colonists make it to the caves. Riker and Data seal the entrance, and they want to wait in here until the attack is over. Riker orders everyone to stay put and not move around to save oxygen. Then he proceeds to move around. On the Enterprise, Picard is nervous because the colony doesn't answer. Troy says that doesn't have to be because they're in trouble. The atmospheric disturbance could jam the signal. Can you just shut up?
I said shut up! As in close your mouth and stop talking.
In the cave, the air is getting thin. They discuss if they can risk opening the entrance when someone is doing it for them. It's Worf and Geordi with a bunch of gold and blue shirts. Riker reports what happened and they look outside. And beyond the wall, it doesn't look too friendly. I'm wondering, how often does this thing eat? 3 times a day? Once a day? Even if it eats only once a week, that are 52 destroyed planets a year. I know the galaxy is big, but still, this is a Borg-like threat if you ask me. So the Enterprise will look into it, and they get help from a scientist, Dr. Ma, who studies the crystalline entity. During a meeting, she isn't reacting too well to Data, and she says there are 11 reported attacks. Wait, 11? We have seen that thing for the first time 4 years ago. 11 attacks in 4 years? Either it can go with the energy it draws from one planet for a long time, or a lot of attacks aren't reported. She's suspicious why this group was spared. She wants to talk with every survivor and inspect the remains of the colony. Remains? Good luck with that. Picard says Data will assist, but she now admits that she doesn't want anything to do with Data, since his brother, Lore, worked with the crystalline entity. But Picard insists. Troy, for once, is aware that she's stating the obvious when she says that Dr. Ma is hostile towards Data. Good, so keep a close eye on her. We wouldn't want anything to happen, right? In the cave, Dr. Ma is giving Data the cold shoulder. She points out that people have tried to hide in caves before but died anyway. Her theory is that Data is the reason, that he has a similar deal with the entity as Lore. Data insists that is not the case, and since his face is not twitching, we can trust him. Dr. Ma then tells Data about her son, who died on Omicron Theta. She threatens Data that in case he had anything to do with this, she would make sure they would take him apart. In engineering, Dr. Ma is frustrated that they still got no results. Data makes a suggestion. Geordi likes it, but she doesn't like it on principle. This is one of the reasons I'm not very fond of this episode. Dr. Ma is completely insufferable. They try Data's idea, and it works. Dr. Ma thanks Data through gritted teeth. It turns out he has all the memories of the colonists on Omicron Zeta, including Dr. Ma's son. They find a trace of the entity, and Dr. Ma gives Worf the information he needs to reprogram the torpedoes to destroy the entity. Picard agrees and says, "Let's hope we don't have to use them." Dr. Ma is outraged that he won't destroy it immediately. Picard wants to talk to her in his ready room. This is one point where my opinion has changed a lot. As a child, I hated her for her shoot first, ask questions later mentality, but today I get it. As I said, this is a Borg-like threat. I still rather agree with Picard that they should try to find a non-lethal solution, but I get her way of thinking, and I sympathize. Picard wants to try to communicate, to find another way to supply the entity with energy. He compares the entity with a whale that eats millions of fishes. He says the entity has as much right to be here as they do. Sure, but the entity does not honor their right to be here. The needs of the many and all that? As a child, I applauded that line. Today, I still think it's basically true, but the entity doesn't keep its part of the bargain. It doesn't leave others alone, and it doesn't respect their right to live. Maybe it is not aware of the fact that it eats sentient beings, but that doesn't change that fact. Sure, go ahead and try talking to it. I agree with that. But if that doesn't work, I don't think it's wrong to destroy it.
I will make them pay for what they've done.
Picard tells her, go and work with Data on that communication. Data is busy playing guitar. She apologizes to him for being so rude, but he assures her he doesn't have feelings that could get hurt. She asks Data if he has any memories from her son. She wants to know if he blamed her for leaving him. Who else would he blame for that? But Data says there are no negative thoughts about her. He was proud. That makes her very happy. A transport ship is attacked by the entity and, of course, gets eaten. Riker goes aboard the transport ship, but no one has survived, so Picard tells Data and Dr. Ma to keep working. Dr. Ma is pretty shaken. When she heard the people on the transport ship cry for help, she thought about her son. Maybe it wasn't a good idea to bring her, huh? Riker comes to see Picard in the ready room. Picard asks him if he wants to write a letter for the parents of that woman he knew for 5 minutes. He does. He also wants to blow up the entity, because he's an enlightened human being who accepts death as a natural part of life and would never give in to revenge.
The line must be drawn here. This far, no farther.
Dr. Ma starts asking about her son again. Data tells her about him playing Parisi squares and having a girlfriend. She then asks what that girlfriend was like, and Data says her son enjoyed her kindness, her gentleness, and her big boobs. She then asks him to talk to her in her son's voice. Data reads from his journal, and Dr. Ma starts crying over this. So they start luring the entity in with a tech beam, and it shows up. It answers the call, and Picard is thrilled. Communication is possible. That is when Dr. Ma pulls out her evil plan. She changes the beam in a way that hurts the entity. Damn it, couldn't have Troy sensed a bit earlier that there is an extremely unstable person on the bridge? Only when it is too late, she says, something is very wrong. You don't say. Picard orders her to stop, but she says, I did it for you. So, revenge for her son. Who could have seen this coming? Also, How exactly did she manage to lock Geordi out of her program? Doesn't Geordi have the, I don't know, root password for his own computer? Or do you really want to tell me she hacked the admin account? Probably the password was password. The entity goes boom and everyone growls at Dr. Ma. And yes, this is the point where I don't sympathize any longer. She shouldn't have done that. Data brings her to her quarters. She wants Data to tell her that her son understands what she did, that she did it for him. But Data says her son was proud of her career and he would not have wanted her to destroy it. Data then delivers the final blow by saying her son would be very sad right now. So, we have an insufferable scientist. As I said, I do sympathize with her, but she shouldn't have sabotaged the mission. She shouldn't have been able to do that anyway if someone would have paid attention. Also, I do not care about the loss of Riker's 5-minute girlfriend at all. Let that thing show up on Earth and we can talk again. I do like the crystalline entity on principle, but I wonder how can the galaxy survive with something like this in it? I mean, it eats civilizations faster than they develop, doesn't it? So yeah, this is more on the nope side. Thank you all for listening. See you next time here at Sci-Fi Steak. Bye.
Goodbye, Harry.